All right, good evening, everybody. Commissioner Coach 704 here doing PEL Storylines for March 5th. Tonight we're going to focus on a lot of stats, player stats, team stats. We'll look at, I just had it. We'll look at the one game that's been played, this new advance we just had. But first I want to touch on a couple of things. First, I want to welcome the new Broncos owner. I guess his name is Rome. That's what he got posted in his name in the chat. So I want to thank Cody and Kyle for bringing him in and welcome him to a pretty decent division in the the AFC West. And I guess he's a pretty good player, so I'm always glad to have good players in the league. Another announcement, the Texans are going on auto the rest of the season, so I'll be setting his games to forces if you play the Texans the rest of the way. The Packers are still on auto also. Third announcement, scheduling. It's really becoming annoying, for lack of a better word. We have no activity on usually the first day after advance, and then the advance day comes because we're 48 hours, and out of courtesy, we tag people to see if you're scheduled or not, and that system is just failing because there are people that are not even reaching out and just taking sims. We're giving out a lot of forces, and that's not what we're here to do. We're here to play games. Ideally, if you need a break, it's fine. And everyone was active last season that took a break, off season, I should say, that took a break, and you gave it your best shot. And then if life gets in the way, then so be it. You go on auto. That's what auto's for. But it's not just to sit here and try to sim and force your way to the playoffs. So all that being said, we're really enforcing the 24-hour contact rule. Now, this does not mean at the deadline you reach out to your opponent and then you come back and say, well, he didn't respond in the last 30 minutes. No, that's not how this works. The 24-hour contact rule, and I have a deadline set up from advance because that's when we're going to check and see if you're scheduled or not. That is not the time for you to go out and try to schedule in one day. No, it'll be a fair sim if that's the case. We handle it case-by-case basis. And Levi's going to head that up, and he's going to tag people that haven't played or haven't posted when they're going to play. Like I said, this is the first step. Next year, there'll be a whole scheduling chat where this will take place. But for right now, we're going to get in the habit of doing this and making sure you schedule within 24 hours. And, I'm tired of all these sketchy situations and then people, trying to play and not telling anyone. That doesn't help anyone. I mean, I get on here. I let it run a long time today, just trying to be nice. And I get on at 10:30, and that's way past normally when we advance because there was no scheduled games. And then I find out a game's going on, and I'm like, well, when were you gonna tell me? And it was something I've been trying to mitigate all day long by tagging them, talking to them in DM. And then you just play and don't tell nobody. Then there's no stream posted in the chat either, so no one knows what's going on. So we're going to eliminate all that. So that's what's going to happen moving forward, and it will be strictly enforced. Okay? Now, moving on to what we're really doing tonight, stats. You look at passing, and this is sorted by passing yardage, so you get the guys that you're using right here. You see the top quarterbacks in the PEL right here on the screen, of course. No surprise with Brad Kai doing so well, and then Josh Dobbs, and then Derek Carr. Even though he's got a lot of interceptions, he's going to throw the ball deep because that's what Jeff likes to do. The guys that are doing the best, of course, have good touchdown interception ratios, and you see that right there with Kaya and Dobbs, Lepsis, Mayfield, of course. The guys that have positive ratios are the ones that are pretty successful. Prescott and then Jim Kelly, the second. All those guys are on pretty good winning teams. And we've been talking about it over and over again. It's all about turnovers, man. If you got a lot of turnovers, you're probably not doing too well. And you see the guys here that lead the league in interceptions. I think all these guys have losing records. And there's your correlation right there. If you're good with the football, protect it. They're usually gonna win football games. QB rating, another good measure for quarterbacks that actually play. There's Kyers right there, then Jim Kelly, Dobbs, and so forth and so on. I always like to look at sacks because protecting your quarterback's just as important too. And the Bucks, once again, now some of this stuff is sim for most of these teams that are at the top here, but you get to a team that's been playing like the Saints, Steelers, surprisingly, Bengals. Those guys have got to do a better job getting the ball out of their hands, and they're probably trying to throw the ball downfield a lot. Top leading rushers. Fernando Sullivan for the Dolphins, of course, has done really well all season long. He'll probably be a rookie of the year, of course. Then you got Bell, Strickland, Mixon, and Howard all at the 1,000-yard mark. So let's look at these averages now, since we changed the running game. We know the average is 3.8. Well, the Raiders really hadn't been playing much. Everyone's pretty much above, except Freeman. Then Thompson, that's sim stats. So the vast majority of people are above that 3.8 NFL per carry, which is what y'all want to do improve, is the running game. So that seems to be working out pretty well as far as that goes. And people have to adjust your defense accordingly to try to take that run game away. And then touchdown, of course, Sullivan's leading there. The Sullivan's leading in average also. So good job there running the football. Top receivers, going to have some sim guys here. There's Green. Those stats are pretty legit. Crowder and Westbrook, yeah, he does a good job. Malone. And then you see some of the top receivers there in the league by catches. And by yardage, there's Green, Malone, Parker, Westbrook, and Dorsett. All have 1,000 already. That's a good job. And then receiving TDs, there's Malone with 16. Galladay with 14, and then several with 11. So those are your league leaders in touchdown catches. Don't really look at blocking. Defensively, we'll look at tackles, and these are sim numbers right here because all these teams hadn't been playing well. The Dolphins got some pretty good numbers, but he had some sim games too to kind of boost that. Let's look at sack leaders. Oh man, Solomon Thomas with 18. There's Lynch with 16. That's tough in San Fran. And then there's Atachu with 14. Luke Kuechly with 14. Vidal Butler, that's a new name. The Seahawks coming into his own. Evans, Jordan Willis, and Wormley, Garrett, McDowell, all are in double digits in sacks. That's a good job. Top interception leaders. There's Adams for the Giants. Kitchens for the 49ers. Collins for the Giants. Giants really picking the ball off. Trey White, Bills. Payne with the Cardinals, and Buchanan with the Cardinals. All doing a good job picking the ball off this year. Let's jump over to team stats. Alright. Let's see. Top total offense, of course, of the Lions, followed by the Steelers, Dolphins, Falcons, Jets, Patriots, Bengals, Colts. I believe that's your top 10 right there. I think that's 10. Alright, top passing teams, Lions, Packers, Steelers, Patriots, Falcons, Redskins, Jets, Chiefs, Jags, Eagles. Okay. Some of those are sim numbers, but whatever. We're just rolling with it. Top running teams, Eagles, Chargers, Bengals, Vikings, Dolphins, Steelers, Lions. All those teams have winning records. Running the football well, you'll win games doing that. Good job. Then points per game, we got the Lions, Eagles, 49ers, Steelers, Giants, Bills, Chargers, Vikings, Browns, Dolphins, Jags, Cards. All those teams are winning teams. Put up the points, you can win games. Makes sense. Alright, total defense. You got Eagles at number 1, Bills 2, Seahawks 3, 49ers 4, Vikes 5. All, except for the Seahawks this year, all winning teams by far. Top pass defense, Eagles, 49ers, Bills, Seahawks, Lions are your top 5. Top run defense, Eagles, Bills, Falcons, Seahawks, Bengals, Vikings. Good job. That Eagles defense is, well, they would be historic if it was a real NFL right now. Points allowed, Eagles, 49ers, Bills, Vikings, Chargers. Good job there. Sack leaders, 49ers, Chargers, Panthers, Dolphins, Seahawks, Bills, Falcons. Good job. Hit stick guys. A little bit of sim stats for the Raiders. Browns, Cardinals, Bengals, Giants. Good job. And then interception leaders. 49ers, Giants, Eagles, Bills, Lions, Panthers, Saints, Chargers, Jags, Steelers, Cards. Good job to all you guys there. And one thing I like to look at here, conversions. Third down percentage is a really huge indicator of how successful you are keeping drives going. And look at your top teams here. Steelers, Chargers, Eagles, Bills, Browns, Bengals, Lions. All those teams are really good, pretty good teams in playoff contention. That's really the only one I look at there. Then red zone efficiency tells you how often you score in the red zone. You want to have a high percentage here. Of course, there's the Lions, Raiders, and more sim stats. 49ers, Cardinals, Panthers, Colts, Titans, Vikings, Dolphins, Chargers, Browns. All do a good job, an exceptional job in scoring in the red zone. Your defense percentage, you want this to be low on this side. Giants, Cardinals, Eagles, Raiders, Panthers, 49ers, Chiefs, all do a good job in the defensive red zone, meaning how many points you give up when a team gets to the red zone. Really good job there. Just for the heck of it, most penalized team, sim stats, of course. Let's look at least. Alright, so Colts, Browns, Bears, Saints, Cardinals, Titans, Panthers, Chargers, all of are the lucky teams. They don't get a lot of penalties called on them. Why the Colts are so low? Good gracious. Alright, then turnover margin. I preach this. If you want to be successful, you got to have a positive turnover margin. So let's see the worst first. Oh my gosh. And now you see why some of these guys are struggling. Texans, Redskins, Bears, Titans, Falcons, Colts. You got to protect the football, man, and be more efficient with your decisions. That'll help turn that record around. Positive on this, the Giants, Eagles, 49ers, Chargers, Bills, Cardinals, Browns, Vikings, Lions, Saints, Bengals, Steelers. All of them are winning teams. Positive turnover margins. You got to keep that in mind, guys. Alright, so that's all we're going to look at there. Let's take a look real quick at the one game that was played. We'll break that down, and then that'll be the end of storylines. I think there's another game being played right now. Let's see. Yeah, Saints Falcons are being played now. I guess they had a disconnect or something. The one game that has been played, the Chargers defeated the Dolphins 35-13. Watched a little bit of this game, and those turnovers the Dolphins had were really costly because they were in the red zone. Only had 2, but when they had them was a really, really big turning point. And then you see the first half was real competitive, 14-13 at halftime. Then the Chargers came out of halftime and just dominated. You look at the player stats. Rivers had a really good game, 13-17 for 271 and 4 touchdowns. Wow, that's a good job against that Miami defense. Brewer kind of struggled again. Not as many interceptions as last week, but didn't hit a lot of big plays. But Sullivan did have another good game, 164 on the ground and a touch. We kind of shut him down last week, so it's good that they got him going again. They'll need him in the playoffs. Chargers got a pretty good game out of Melvin Gordon there, 13 for 91 and a touch. And then receiving-wise, this guy Trevathan had a really big game, 4 for 137 and 2 touchdowns. He shook loose a couple times of what it looks like there. You get defensive stats. A lot of times around 6 or 7 tackles. A couple sacks for the Chargers. And then they had 2 interceptions, and then Miami had an interception also. Alright, so that win for the Chargers, really helps them in terms of keeping pace for the 1 seed, along with myself. Real quick look at that. Just because they played, we'll look at it for those 2 guys. So we got the AFC West. So the Chargers have that division already locked up. Like I said, that'll help them keep pace for the 1 seed and overall home field in the playoffs. For the Dolphins, they've lost 3 in a row. They lost at Sim, then they lost last week to me. Now they lost this week to the Chargers. So a little tough stretch here for the Dolphins. But 9-4, they're still in a pretty good spot for the wild card. They'll be at least 2 games behind ourselves in the division. So we'll see what happens there. If you look at it from the wild card's perspective, let's see. So we've got they're the second wild card right now. So they're more concerned with the Bengals and the Steelers, I believe, would be their competition for that second wild card right now. When the Steelers took a force loss to the Bears, which was a little unexpected, so that kind of helped the Dolphins' playoff chances a bit there by that happening. But these top 6 teams right here are all in the playoffs right now, and the Steelers are still in competition for that last AFC wild card spot. And they're good enough, they can run the table, so the Dolphins do have to still keep winning. So we'll take a look at their schedules. Let's see what they got coming up. The Dolphins have the Jags, Titans, and they play the Steelers in Week 17. So depending on how things go, that could be a loser-leave town match. Let's see what the Steelers have. They have a tough stretch, my goodness. The Bengals, Chargers, Broncos, who seems to be pretty good, all on the road, and then they finish with the Dolphins. So the Steelers have some work to do. Now they're good enough, but that is an imposing stretch right there. Wow, good gracious. All right, so AFC looks pretty set up. On the live show Tuesday, we'll go into more depth with the rest of the teams. But this is PEL Storylines. I appreciate everybody watching. You're probably watching on the replay because I didn't have any live viewers. I didn't tell anybody. So if you are watching on the replay, thank you. Please remember, schedule your games. That is a big pet peeve of mine because we like to keep the league moving and we don't want to waste time, especially in this point in the season where we have a lot of people on auto order taking sims and forces with stuff going on. All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it as always. Thank you.